Hey everybody, my name is John Siskovich and I'm continuing my consumer review series where I went out to the supermarket, I bought something, and we're going to talk about it here on YouTube. And today we are going to cover one of the topics that is most near and dear to my heart, and yes, it is chickens. Chickens specifically as it relates to eggs. I went out and bought myself some Vital Farms pasture-raised eggs because I'm a pasture-based farmer and they're claiming pasture-raised on their eggs. I went out to the store and purchased these. Actually, Kate bought a dozen of these for our house first, brought them home and said, what do you think about it? And this is the most beautiful, brilliant packaging and marketing that I have seen for eggs pretty much ever. And as a consumer, I was hooked. And as a producer, if you are not following some of the strategies, at least some of the strategies that are using on this carton, then you are missing out. We're going to cover that in today's video. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to start in the grocery store aisle where I first saw these. I actually, Kate had bought a package of them and I went out and bought more because I thought they were amazing. So we're going to start in the grocery store aisle as a consumer. Then we're going to look at the outside of the packaging. Then we're going to flip it open and look at the inside of the packaging. We're going to then go to, which leads us to a website. So we're going to go to the website and check that out. And then we're going to come back out of that website and look at this little information. They use the inside of the package as an opportunity to give you more information and upsell even another product. I think it is genius. So let's dive right in. Now, I bought this package of eggs, and at the store, I see a lot of tans and browns and whites, and that are just kind of like generic egg carton colors. Like, you think of the generic egg carton color, that to me is a wall of that color reflected with those fluorescent lights. And then when you're walking past it, you notice that little darker section that has pasture raised. And for me, I'm a pasture raised farmer. Like, I raise birds out on pasture. I'm on a smaller scale now because I've been selling more beer than meat lately, but here we go. Pasture raised, looks really great. They have this like transparency thing going on. See a farm. I'm like, this is amazing. Let's buy this package of eggs. Now, when we flip over to the top of the package right here, they're claiming pasture raised. It's got right big al fresco outside, dining al fresco, having food outdoors. Those birds are living out in wonderful pastures. Pasture raised, really big on the top, the front, not the sides, definitely the back, and then all over the interior, the marketing. They have images of grass and they have the words pasture raised. They're taking that term and they're just beating you to death with it because that's what they want to stand for. Now, if you look at it broadly, what I've done in my marketing, so like cheap ways to make farmers market signs or make things look very, Pinteresty and cottagey, is to buy the chalkboard paint and then make chalk signs. And you could just take plywood. I've taken plywood, sheets of glass, MDHDF, any material really you can paint chalkboard paint on and then write chalk on it. And they've mimicked that chalkboard kind of Etsy feel with their whole packaging. And because it's not that standard tan, it's that black, it stands out in the market when you're buying it. And all the claims around here: ethical eggs, happy hens, made with fresh air and sunshine. Like, their eggs are made with fresh air and sunshine. That's amazing. That's what we want to see. Even in the silhouette of this chicken right here, it says on green grass. And what does the other hen say? I didn't even look closely. Under open skies. So we got on green grass, under open skies. They're really claiming that these birds are out and about doing their thing, getting fresh grass. And that, to me, is what I'm looking for when I'm in eggs. And if you are trying to sell eggs and you're showing that there is a difference between the store-bought eggs and your birds that are out on pasture and moving around, one of the core tenets of being pasture raised is that those birds move around from spot to spot. If you think about the old grazing herds that they would go through and they would eat the grass, ruminants, because ruminants eat grass, not corn, and they would then poop, because animals poop, and flies would come and lay their eggs in that poop and larvae would come out. Then huge flocks of birds would travel behind the grazing herds, or flocks of birds would, this is hard to say that 10 times fast. Flocks of birds would travel behind the grazing herds and eat the larvae of the flies that were coming out of the poop, scatter the poop, and also eat the fresh little grass, the fresh growth after the herds had come down and mown everything to where the point the birds could access it and be able to look around for predators. This is awesome. It's a natural system. It's what we're mimicking with a mobile pasture-raised system. So the fact that these birds, it sounds like they're out under open skies eating fresh grass, we're trying to mimic that system. This is wonderful. On the back, again, it says pasture-raised, 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 pasture-raised. It's got some contact information. Here is a claim for how much space they have. So in a conventional system, you're going to have between 3/4 of a square foot to 1 square foot to maybe 1.5 square feet per bird. You know, like I think cage-free is 1 square foot, and then the access to outdoors has 2 square feet per bird. This is claiming 108 square feet of outdoor space per bird. This is a lot. This is a fair amount of space. It's pretty good. We're gonna see if we're gonna see how this plays out going forward. And then contact information, standard. I'm sure there's like legal stuff involved with this. And then we get into the inside, and this is fascinating. Visual representations of data and analytics. How do you convey to a consumer what 108 square feet is and how that is different from the standard bird? This is something we can all learn from. There's the two things that I see first. My eye is first drawn to this tree over here because it's a big spot of plain color, and it shows those like very graphically simple chickens eating outdoors under a tree, because they're not going to be able to do that if they're in a barn. They can be outside. This is wonderful. Then next I go up to the top where there is this outlined green grassy area with a different color. Now I got a chicken over here, and we start to see some math equations. This to me gets me the most excited because I can do math. You can't lie with math. You can't hide math. Math is just there, you know? You can fudge the interpretation of what that math is, but at the end of the day, you can create an equation that either is or isn't. This is wonderful. So our girls get 108 square feet of pasture each to roam and forage, and I think that's a big deal. They're approaching you like I would be talking to you on YouTube. This is the way that I speak, as if I'm talking to a friend. It's the way I write as well. They're writing very personal, not like a large company. How big is that? Well, this whole area represents 108 square feet. This whole area is 108 square feet. And then this little dot over here is what a conventional chicken would get in a barn setting. So this is what a conventional barn raised bird gets, and this is the outdoor space that they're saying their birds get. So it's a good way to represent that. And then we go over to, we're going to skip nutrition facts. Vital Farms, we raise our hens to the highest humane standards in a way that's better for our farmers and kind to the earth. Using words like better, kind, highest, humane, chemical-free, foraged diet, regular rotation, because our farms are located where hens can be outdoors all year round. So they're raising birds in the south. So in the north, it's hard for you to be outdoors all the time. You know, I'm only pasture raised seasonally when I'm raising my birds, and I talk to my customers about that, very transparent, where they have to be a little bit more stationary in the winter, where I have that cover for them and the ability to make sure that their water doesn't freeze, all these kind of things for our chickens, where they're raising them down south. So they're able to have them outdoors year round. That's a lot of foot traffic for a chicken in one spot year round. So to learn more, visit their website. Now they're plugging their website. They have got information on the outside, the inside, and now we're upselling the website. So let's go over to Safari and go to their website, because I preloaded it because there's no internet down in my basement. And we have on the very beginning a connection. You know, if this is a larger company that they're based out of Texas, I'm in Connecticut, and I bought their eggs at my local grocery store. It takes a large business to regularly supply eggs that far away. We have the standard, I'm trying to manipulate my TV. We have the standard, like, modern farmer. He is my age, he's getting into farming, he's got the beard, he's got a baseball cap. You always see me with a baseball cap on. I'm not in this video though. I've got the same, I wore this, like literally the same vest that he is wearing. I wore down out, because I have to go outside to get down into my basement where I record the videos. So this is like, it could be me sitting right there. So I've got a connection to this guy, I feel comfortable. And then their whole transparency initiative, which I was reading about the other day, where they're saying, see a farm. You can see videos of chickens on their farm. I'm like, this is great. And we scroll down, then we scroll down and we notice something a little dishonest here, or that doesn't hold up to all these claims about being pasture raised and being rotated and having the birds out and mobile on grass, mimicking those old grazing herds. There's a barn there where the birds come out. See what these are? These are big fans that are ventilating, because when all those birds are in there pooping in one spot, it builds up ammonia. You want to keep fresh air in there. Those fresh air, you know, they're claiming on the inside of the packaging. And I don't know how well it shows up on video, but think about the angle here. If I was going to take an angle of a picture of chicken, I want to accentuate the open skies. I get down low with my iPhone or my camera. You know, if I'm taking that picture, if I'm out in the field and I'm shooting that photo, I'm going to get down low, and it makes the chicken more dramatic. I show the big skies. I've got fresh green grass. I recognize a lot of the different forages here. We got a little bit of biodiversity, but just past them, it's tan and burnt out. And what happens with chicken manure, it's really high in nitrogen. And when you have too much manure in one spot and you can't manage it by rotating them, the ground burns out. So if you were raising it in a barn system, what you're commonly going to find is that around the barn, all the ground is burnt and washed out. And you can see this from Google Maps. And the further you get out, the more lush and green the grass is going to be, because there's less traffic from all those birds. So if you're distributing eggs to me in Connecticut, and you're based out of Texas, you're going to work with growers who are efficiently producing a lot of eggs, right? To do that, you're going to have a barn system, but you're going to give them more access to the outdoors. That is going to burn the ground out, like we can see on the very home page of this, this website. And then the birds are going to roam a little bit further, but a chicken's not going to walk super duper far in any given day, because their feed and water are going to be inside of this building. So if you're raising chickens in a barn, they're going to be burnt out along the outside. They're going to forage out a little bit more to get that grass. But it's disappointing that, for me, the definition of pasture raised is that it's good for the soil because you're moving the birds around. They're spreading out that nitrogen. They're following cattle herds if you can. You know, not everybody raises a super diverse farm, and that's fine. I don't, so I don't have cattle for my birds to roam behind. But I do rotate them on a regular basis so they don't burn out the ground that they're on. You can't rotate a barn because it has a foundation, so that's pretty tough. They go on, there's some more claims on the website. Maybe we cover this in more depth because I know this video is already getting a little bit long. But then we scroll down a little further and there's a slideshow. And think about, again, if you were a photographer and you were capturing chickens and you want to hide the fact that your birds are raised in barns, we won't put it that way. We'll say highlight the fact that your birds are pasture raised. You're going to show close-ups of chickens enjoying life, getting some sunshine. This is a beautiful picture of the birds coming out of the barn. Birds out under some trees and canopy where they've got some stuff to dig around and scratch on. The grass isn't going to grow as well under a dense canopy, but you're going to get that dappled light, and chickens kind of scratching around. Being chickens, look for worms and grubs and bugs and stuff. And there's a lot to takeaways as consumer and producer. This is a great picture of a chicken walking on a log, because why not? It's outdoors, having a good time. Birds dust bathing, where it is a more burnt out area where they've probably been in a little bit more traffic, but dusting is a natural behavior for a chicken. Close up of a bird out and about, but we got that barn in the background. And then on the inside of the barn, this is what it would look like. And I love that they show it. I mean, this is great. There's a level of transparency here where they are showing that their birds are raised in barn. They're let outdoors. They have barns in their photos. But for me, that's not pasture raised at all. That's not the definition of pasture raised. Pasture is mobile on pasture. And you can rotate around the barn, but that's only going to get you so far in these systems. And it's still going to burn out on the immediate area around the barn. And that's not good for the soil. There's going to be washout that's going to get into local waterways. It's no good. They go from... So for the rest of the website, we got some recipes and upsells for other products, and then an opportunity to get on their email list. We'll go over their website maybe more in depth in the future. I tried to cover it pretty quickly here. Let's go back to the egg carton and look on the inside, because what they did on the inside I thought was super clever as well. They have, so if you get this and you've paid for this packaging, they also have these little printouts that pasture raising the bar, because freedom to forage and room to roam. They're again saying that the birds get out, they roam, they have grass. This is, if you were a pasture-raised farmer and you're raising them rotationally, you are doing everything you can. It's harder to do that. It's less efficient, but you get a better product. It's better for the hens, it's better for the earth. This is a access to the outdoors where the birds can go outdoors, but their feed and their water is inside, so they don't always go outside. And they're going to spend a lot of time in that barn. Here's where we get into a term called greenwashing, where you're taking the green aspects, the good aspects of what somebody else is doing, and you're washing your product with it to make what you do appear healthier and better. And again, this is good marketing. Nothing against the farmers. The farmers are doing a great job. They're real people making money, working within the system. You know, when you vote with your food dollars, when you go to the store like I did and you buy this like I did, you're voting for this over real pasture raised. And real pasture raised is more expensive. And if you're not willing to pay that, we're going to end up with this in a marketing company who has their only stake is the fact that they're getting paid by this aggregate company. They're going to take whatever terms they see and apply them. They may not be farmers. They're going to apply them to this system in order to sell more eggs. That's their job. The farmers are growing the chickens, and they care about their birds as much as I do. I'm sure of it. And then on the other side of this card, this stuff is a little gimmicky. I don't really like it, but they're anthropomorphizing, they're humanizing the birds a little bit. Eccentric Elise isn't afraid to venture out on her own. She's the bird of the month this month. Congratulations, Eccentric Elise. Restating their mission statement, having a comic. What are you doing? Flipping the bird. Oh, it's really funny. So like if you're a kid, you're making breakfast, your kids, like, I don't know. And then they have an upsell for other products that they have. So they're using the fact that you bought this to sell a probably less popular, like they're going to move less volume, but they found a niche product that they're upselling to a certain demographic who's looking for pasture-raised eggs. So all of it very, very clever. And at the bottom, they've got their social media. So by the end of this video, we have a few takeaways. For the consumer, it is important to know that they are claiming to be pasture-raised, but I would say that it is not pasture-raised because they're not mobile. They're not out and about. They're raised in barns. The people who are raising pasture-raised, the members of the American Pasture Poultry Producers Association, are working very hard and spending extra money, extra time, extra effort. And there are people doing it at scale. It can be done in large mobile houses where they're moved regularly on pastures to mimic a natural system. And that is very difficult to do, which is why a company like this would want to co-opt that term. So when you see this, this is still a good egg. Like, this is still something better than you're going to get like Eggland's Best or like their 99-cent a dozen eggs. And maybe that means something to you and maybe it doesn't. So it's still a good product, but don't be confused by this egg over the egg that you're going to get at the farmer's market, that you shake that farmer's hand and you can visit their farm. You can see pictures of drone shots, of satellite images, of Google Maps, of going there yourself and seeing it and being a personal inspector and seeing that they rotate their birds. You can ask that farmer questions about it. And that's my consumer takeaway, is that yes, this is a great company and this is the most beautiful marketing I've ever seen for eggs. But they are greenwashing and co-opting terms that quite frankly don't really belong to them. Now as a producer, you have a lot to learn from this. This is amazing. This packaging is beautiful. And I would recommend going out to the store, seeing what eggs are there, what claims are being made, and then doing your own education on what you do, how it's different, and have people come to your farm and certify it for themselves. Share pictures on your social media and do something about it. You know, like if they're claiming to be something that you are and they're not, then it is up to you to make that difference. Go out and do that outreach, shake hands, talk to your customers, update your email list, do your own marketing. If you want to sell eggs and you don't want people co-opting your terms, we have to beat the pavement and make a difference and do that education ourselves. Now next week, I talked about the math on the inside of the carton. We're going to go back to that really quick. I thought this was one of the most brilliant marketing things ever. We're going to do some chicken math and get our fictitious birds out on pasture and pull up a spreadsheet on here and do an equation to see how that 108 square feet holds up to some of the satellite images, some general math, just some common sense, and see, like, I'm not saying I'm a whistleblower or debunking anything. I just want to like test this further. I want to be a more educated consumer. I want to be a better grower. And if this is somebody who's doing it and has reach all over the East Coast, I want to see just how, how the sausage is made. So we're going to look into that in next week's video. If you want to know when I'm coming out with new content, whether it's a video, a podcast, or a blog post, you can go to farmmarketingsolutions.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and almost the bottom of the page, and you can see there's an email list sign up. Give me your name, email address. I don't sell anything on my email list. I just share when and what content I produce and how it goes out there. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed our deep dive into eggs. Until next time, I will see you out in the field.